What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I personally invest less than 10% of my portfolio into the Canadian market. In fact, as of today, 8.75% to be exact. Now, ironically, this year, as many of us know, the Canadian stock market has actually outpaced the S&P. This doesn't happen all too often, but the TSX has returned roughly 25% year to date, and the S&P returning somewhere in that 15-16% range. Now, this begs the question to me, is should I be investing or allocating more towards the Canadian market? Have I been under allocating with only the 8.75%? More importantly, the discussion I want to have today is dialing into how much should you ultimately consider having in the Canadian market? Where is the best place to put your money if we're looking for long-term growth? And before we dive in, I did ask this exact question to the Blossom community. I asked how much of your portfolio is allocated to Canada. The results showed 10% have a zero allocation to Canada, so nothing whatsoever. About 9% said they have less than 5% of their portfolio. 20% was in that 5 to 15 range, which is again right where I kind of find my sweet spot. And then if you do tally up these bottom three ones here, essentially over 50% of the votes said they had 15% or more. You can see here, some of them had greater than 50%, and I know certainly some people are 100% Canadian. I want this video to be collaborative too. Before we go any further, if you don't mind, drop a comment down below where you sit. Your portfolio breakdown. Is it more Canadian, less Canadian? Do you know the exact percentage? Very curious to see what that percentage is for you. And I guess the intention of this video, you guys, is I would love to be proved wrong. If you guys can justify or maybe enlighten me as to why you have more and why maybe I should have more, I'm all ears. I would love to hear from you guys. I ultimately want to share, I guess, some of the thought process and reasoning as to why I allocate the amount that I do in this video. Starting with point number one, I think the obvious one to discuss here is historical returns, comparing the Canadian market versus the American market. And over the past 50 years, the S&P 500 has averaged an annual return of around 10 to 11%. The TSX somewhere closer to that 7%. Now, I do personally find it a bit challenging to find exact numbers, like depending on what resources you're using, you're gonna see different things. One way to look at it is if we use a couple older ETFs as a proxy. So here I'm using SPY for the S&P 500, an ETF that tracks the S&P 500. This was incepted back in 1993. This one, since inception, has returned an average of 10.73%. I'll use XIU here, which was incepted in 1999. So again, quite a track record or quite a history, not quite, full apples to apple, but this one returned 8.64%. If we were to compare it over a similar time frame, so let's just call it last 25 years, while there certainly are periods where the TSX does outperform, again, take the year that we're in now, in general, the S&P 500 is the historically stronger index. Now that is of course looking back historically. Like in hindsight, the American market has historically returned a stronger return than the Canadian market. What about looking forward? Well, I think there are a couple key market differences, which I think we should talk about, because structurally, the Canadian market and the US market, there are some key differences. And as Canadians, I mean, what comes to mind when I just say, think of your, what Canadian companies pop to mind? I'm thinking here, of course, the banks, RBC, TD, BMO, insurance companies, Manulife, Enbridge, the energy companies, utilities, natural gas, the railroads, absolutely. These companies tend to be a little more mature. They're awesome for dividend payments. If we were to just look at the yield of the TSX index, it by default has a nice yield because the top half of the index does skew towards, dividend stocks, more mature companies. If I were to ask that same question thinking about American stocks, well, of course, what comes to mind are the big technology companies. So the NVIDIAs, the Teslas, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google's, you name it. To depict this kind of well in a visual format, we can see that looking at the Canadian market, so this is the total of the S&P TSX, we see the sectors are heavily concentrated to the financials, to the energy sector, to utilities. We see here industrials coming in. In fact, as of this chart, which was taken actually just earlier this year, so relatively recently, the four main sectors make up roughly 75% of the breakdown. Now contrast that to the S&P 500 or the American market, where immediately we see quite the glaring difference. Of course, the largest sector being displayed here is tech, making up over a quarter of the sector allocation. We then see financials, consumer discretionary, communications, healthcare, in general, just a more diverse market, a diverse ecosystem when it comes to the breakdown of companies included. And really the key point, I think, being, when we think of Canada, you do have companies like Shopify and a handful of others, don't get me wrong, but in general, US has spit out tons of trillion-dollar big tech companies. And I don't want to be caught up in this, recency bias, if you will, of, well, over the past 10, 20 years, tech has done well, so that's where we need to pump all our money, and that's not the case. I do, however, believe, though, over the next number of decades, that is, of course, going to be an integral sector of things, and it will overlap into other sectors, don't get me wrong. But in general, I guess that's one thing. Structurally, I think sector-wise, it does tell a picture. We could look at even the population size. And if we looked at literally the raw number of people and horsepower between these two nations, Canada, I believe, is sitting at about 40 million people as of today. America, 330 million people, over 8 times difference. Simply due to that difference in numbers, when you have more people, you're gonna spit out more entrepreneurs, more consumers, more revenue, more investment, more innovation, more growth opportunities, ultimately is what I have listed down here. An interesting train of thought is that if a company, for example, becomes massive here in Canada, like a nationwide success, in theory it reaches all 40 million Canadians. Well, if an American company were to achieve that same amount of success nationally, in that case it's reaching 330 million people, right? Before even going abroad or to another nation. We've discussed this tons of times before, but when you look up, where Canada represents relative to the global GDP, it's about 3% of global GDP versus America being a quarter, 25%. To me, this metric alone does, it should make you pause. If you have over 50%, 70% of your portfolio in the Canadian market, when it represents 3% of the global market, my personal belief is that as investors in the modern day, where we have this technology and all types of capabilities within our brokerage accounts, and the access to different investment opportunities are like so available, we could be sitting in our bedroom on our laptops or even phones and be investing in companies in South America or Asia or Europe. We have the whole world of opportunities to be looking at. So the math just doesn't check out there alone for me to say, I'm going to take half of my portfolio, 70%, and put it all into Canada. Even though I love Canada, I've even got my Canada Niagara Falls shirt on today, so don't get me wrong. To briefly share an update as of today, how my portfolio is looking, I have about half of it allocated to the S&P. My ZEQT holding does have some Canadian exposure, so a quarter of that ETF is allocated to Canada, but this makes up about 35% of my portfolio, again, where I come up with that 8-9% number. And I personally invest, like I mentioned, in global opportunities, China being one of them, where I have about 11% into that market. Following that, I do have a couple individual companies, but I guess the takeaway or high level for my portfolio is the foundation, at least half or more, in my personal opinion, is allocated towards the United States. Now, point number 3, which does cross my mind, and I think is absolutely worth discussing, is talking about the culture or what the different, economic values are between the two countries. And when I think about Canada, some of the points that I have jotted down here is it is more of a reserved or conservative, if you will, mindset. I think to a big priority being, protecting the environment and being eco-friendly. More regulation is something that's, here in Canada, and there's many good that comes out of that. Anti-monopolistic mindsets, smaller capital markets relative to the States, of course. And an interesting one, this is from firsthand experience with Blossom, is you do just have a much more cautious entrepreneurial environment. And I think about when we go out and Max is out, raising money from VCs here in Canada versus VCs in the States, it is a completely different mindset. Like there is a completely different attitude towards money and entrepreneurship. Things just move a lot faster in the States, and that's just a matter of fact. In the US, some of the values I have written down is capitalistic, of course, innovation-driven, risk-taking, more of a risk-taking mindset, quite competitive, right? Drill, baby, drill, grow the GDP, kind of a business-first mindset. Now, I'm not here to say, morally which one's better or which one, you should prefer, but from an investing standpoint or looking at it from where I want to deploy my money, one nation, in my opinion, historically has just had is more primed to produce higher growth companies. And I do think that is a point worth mentioning. Now, those are just a few of the, points that come to mind. Some of the thoughts as to why I, skew the way I do. If you do agree with me that the US has historically outperformed, not every year, but over time, the US market and economy structurally is larger and more diverse, more likely to spit out, big companies that drive our world forward. And then the culture of America versus Canada, one of them tends to be a little more capital focused, more growth focused. The next question, which I think is very important, is how do you actually invest in that? Because I did really like this comment from Michael on that same thread that I talked about earlier, asking how much you invest in Canada. And he says, max 30% into Canada if you are indexing because of too much financials, cyclical mining, energy. Stock picking is another story because despite many preconceptions, we have some banger companies here in Canada. My portfolio is about 45, 55%, 45% Canada, US, I've been very happy with the results. This point right here is quite critical, and I think a really good call out, saying that there is a difference if you're just gonna be buying the index and understanding what that comprises of, and more of a heavier skew to some of your more mature dividend paying companies versus picking individual companies. You guys know there's a handful of individual Canadian companies like the Brookfields of the world. Obviously Constellation's been a big winner, Dollarama, Aritzia. There's a ton of Canadian companies that you could point out that say, hey, these actually do fit more of my growth approach that I'm looking for. If that's the case and you're picking more individual companies that align with your goals, I absolutely see a world where you could skew higher to Canada. Again, as always guys, just because I'm saying I personally aim for less than 10%, that's by no means a suggestion that's for you, but I do see an argument where it can be higher than that. Keep in mind as well, I'm a 30-year-old investor, right? So my priority at this point now is long-term growth. It's not so much dividends, it's not so much drawing in an income. In my portfolio, the way that I get exposure to Canada is via the ETF. So I am taking that broad-based approach and factoring that in. I absolutely want to be diversified there. I think there's tremendous value about being diverse, not just amongst US and Canada, but internationally as well, as you can see in my portfolio. But that's the number that I personally feel comfortable with. Now, there is of course some exceptions that I want to wrap up this video with, because like I said, Canada does belong in the portfolio, especially if you're an investor that is older, maybe has some more money. Maybe you're investing, for example, in a non-registered account or a taxable account where, benefits of Canadian stocks like the dividend tax credit or eligible dividends, that certainly makes a stronger argument. I'm not quite at that situation yet. I'm speaking to you guys from the perspective of a 30-year-old with the goal of growing my portfolio to that one day. Again, not to beat a dead horse here, but if you had different objectives than myself, if you are an income investor, you are a dividend investor, well, Canada has a tremendous suite of options for spinning off super reliable and consistent dividends. At the end of the day, I thought this would be a good topic or discussion, really just food for thought, where I could share with you guys, I guess, some of the things I look at, and I really encourage you, if you're willing to share, leave a comment down below in ways that maybe I could be thinking about it differently, or if you have a strong opinion on where that balance should be. Because like I said, I am completely open to hearing that and possibly making some adjustments here on my end. But as always, I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm doing. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, follow me over on Blossom. And as always, I thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.